My name is Vikram Khurana, and other than being a friend of Alka Talwar, I am an entrepreneur in Canada, and I've had firsthand experience of aging with my parents, my late mother who passed away last year, and my now 87-year-old father who lives with us. We've provided home care and also had a significant amount of experience with aging and especially aging parents. I'm happy to provide input on what I've seen, and um, I, the feelings are very mixed because obviously my wherewithal has been fortunately and with God's grace a lot, but I've also seen seniors that don't have the wherewithal to be able to sustain themselves. Normally, when people are aging, they're weak and they're vulnerable. And when they are vulnerable, they actually look for support from the one party that they most likely get support from in times of crisis, the government. And the government, if you look through different countries, don't have usually a minister for seniors. Canada is probably one of the first countries to have a minister for seniors that's trying to look for a blended solution for aging. And if you look at the issues, everything from people entering the retirement system, then when they're unable to help themselves, being moved into a phase system from assisted living to long-term care to palliative to euthanasia. Those are the kind of issues that senior citizens are facing. And of course, since life expectancy has grown significantly, money is a big issue because people run out of money. They've not planned for retirement of 40 years after a working life of only 30 years or 40 years. So those are the kind of issues that one must look in a holistic way. Providing a long-term care bed for somebody at a very high cost that is government sponsored, and then of course people know in Western countries the frequent mishaps in the service level that is provided to seniors, and the kind of responsibility and the kind of neglect that can possibly creep into the system due to undedicated providers. And of course, there's a mix of private providers and government providers. There's a whole debate about that and which one's better and which one's more affordable for the government. Those are the kind of issues that must be looked at from a single flow perspective. Then there's all the concept of healthy aging. And of course, healthy aging is the moment people stop working, their mental capacities kind of taper off. And the less the mental activity, the quicker the onset of old age related conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia and those kind of things, and how to keep them engaged into a healthier lifestyle. The easy answers are, okay, let's give them some yoga, light exercises, let's kind of enroll them into groups. But it goes beyond that. When I look at my parents' generation and my wife's parents' generation, they actually dedicated their entire lives to their kids. They didn't go golfing, they didn't go playing bridge or cards. They didn't have huge circles of friends that traveled together and explored. All that came very late in life, and now it's kind of not possible to build very lasting friendships. Yes, there is a fraternity that's caused by common conditions, but it's not lifelong friendships that are built upon some common activities. So how do you kind of get them to open up at so late in life and create relationships that sustain them through their end of days. Then there's the role of family. The role of family, obviously, there's a great expectation that there's a social contract that parents look after the children when they're young, get them married, dedicate their entire lives to them, and then look after their grandkids. And then at the end of it, when they're in need, what are the roles and responsibilities of the children that they so much invested in? So those are and of course, the children have their own perspective on, hey, I want to live my life. I obviously have my own relationships, and I'm a sandwich generation. I have to look after my children, and I have to look after you. And I've always seen my parents as somebody that were in charge of themselves, and actually they were providers to me. And now they need to still figure it out. So all those things said, these are all very complex issues, and individual experiences vary. That's the crunch of it. Individual experiences can range from very happy ends to very miserable ends. And in between this, there are sponsored and unsponsored, sponsored by government, sponsored by their own resources, or unsponsored where people become destitute and are forced to find whatever, scrounge up whatever best resources they can to get through old age. I'll also touch a little bit about medical conditions. So obviously, people are living longer, and medical conditions are things that I never heard of growing up in my grandparents or an older generation are now very relevant. There are very significant things about Alzheimer's. There's, people forget who they gave birth to. People forget about who they spend their lives with, their husbands, their spouses. And quite painful, obviously. And beyond that, there is the issue of their well-being, and then their own affairs. And of course, some treatments require intensive care, and especially cancer. These kind of very debilitating diseases have a very significant impact on the type of care that they receive, because it's impossible for palliative care to be provided in a home setting with showers and with personal support workers, with different type of paralysis aiding devices, all those things. And from a government perspective, it's much easier to let people do it in their own homes and to enable them to be able to do it in their own homes. And so obviously there's a taxation perspective to all of this. Can we give people a tax break? Can we give people a subsidy? Can we give people some tools such as chair lifts and hospital beds and those kind of things? Can we have a personal support worker visit for a few hours? So those are the kind of also perspectives on this.